Okay, so good morning everybody. Welcome to my very first ever video blog. It's not something I'll be making a habit of doing, but as we move on with this, I'm hoping everybody will see why I'm so frustrated with the issue that we're going to discuss. So a bit of background regarding the issue. I help a family member manage their finances and their bills because they struggle with some of the complexities of that. This particular family member, we moved them into their first ever home 2 years ago, and we set up various utility accounts. The utility accounts we set up that we're going to talk about are the gas and electric that we set up with E.ON at the time, who very shortly after we set up the account set up a wonderful new company called E.ON Next and automatically moved all of their residential customers over to it. The property that we chose for this family member benefited from having a smart gas and electric meter fitted, which we thought would be a wonderful way to help that person keep on top of their bills and make sure they didn't incur any unforeseen debt. And from October 2020 through to August of this year, the account seemed to be managed okay. We receive statements every few months letting us know the balance of the account, and we managed the direct debits and upped it and reduced it to make sure that that account was always in credit. In July, obviously there were lots of rumblings about the energy crisis that was looming, the cost of gas going up due to the supply issues caused by the global economic events. And in line with that, we thought it'd be prudent to actually increase the direct debit for this person. So the account was always in credit, and we can see at the end of July that account was in credit by over £500, and there were plans to keep upping that direct debit to make sure that fuel poverty and the cost of heating wasn't going to become an issue. It's worth adding this person lives by themselves. They work an average job, and although not entitled to that much help other than the rest of us working people get, they're living on a budget, but things were managed. It was at this point we noticed that the gas meter readings weren't being sent automatically, so we took a manual reading from the smart meter and we used the online portal that E.ON Next operates to submit a reading. And a few days later we noticed that reading had had a disastrous effect on the balance of that account. We can see here that the gas charges that they've levied on that account are nearly £5,000. That didn't look right, and the usage in that one bill that they billed for a total of 66,734 kilowatt hours. The average home in the UK apparently uses around about 16 kilowatt hours of gas per year. This is a single person living in a modern mid-terrace house that only uses their heating for 1 to 2 hours per day, and the only other gas usage is to get a shower lasting 3 to 5 minutes. So that does seem pretty high. We investigated a bit further, and we actually installed a smart meter app onto his smartphone. The Hugo app, can't recommend it enough, by the way. The accuracy of the information that Hugo app gives is brilliant, and it was actually very helpful for us to track back and give 13 months worth of usage data to E.ON Next. We could see that the the usage that E.ON Next had applied was about 3 times what the Hugo app was saying he'd used in kilowatt hours. Obviously there have been rate changes and that, so we're focusing on the kilowatt hours for now rather than to focus on the monetary value of that, just for ease of tracking and accounting. So, concerned that E.ON Next were going to raise the direct debit by a huge amount, and also to prevent them taking money from this person's account until the matter had been investigated and resolved, we immediately cancelled the direct debit, and we sent an email to E.ON Next informing them there was a problem. We gave them a breakdown of how much gas had actually been used according to the smart meter and the Hugo app, and we were able to evidence that the figure that they had quoted is grossly over the amount that the smart meter is tracking. That email was sent on the 27th of August this year, so we're quite some time after the event. We received a response on the 1st of September from E.ON Next, and their response was not quite what we were expecting, but at least it started the ball rolling. And their response was to say that this particular person does not have a smart meter fitted to their premises, and that the high bill was due to the fact that estimated readings had been used since they moved into the property, and that you'd need to continue giving those. The response from us was to point out that the property is in fact fitted with a smart meter, and we also produced all the data, including a lovely piece from the Citizen Advice, where you can put your meter details and your address in, and they will actually send you a report confirming that your property does have a smart meter fitted. It tests the network, it makes sure that the signals are being received. So the smart meter's fitted and it isn't sending and receiving the data. We also provided a picture of the lovely smart meter. So as we can see, this is one of the models of smart meter available in the UK at the moment, and this is the meter that's installed in the premises. So the response back from E.ON Next took a little while, but on the 23rd of September we received a response from them saying that they would update their records accordingly. Since then, the communication from E.ON Next has been lacking, shall we say, in the fact that once we hit the 8 week points of the complaint stage, where E.ON should have either resolved the complaint or issued a deadlock letter so that it could be escalated to the Ombudsman, an email was sent to them on the 25th of October pointing out the fact that the 8 weeks have passed, and we formally requested resolution or the deadlock letter. So we're about 4 weeks since that email was sent, no response from E.ON Next. At the same time, we did also copy in the CEO mailbox for E.ON Next. We've had no response, and we also copied in the generic complaints email as well, and still no response. A further email, chase with email, was sent on the 4th of November saying we hadn't received a response. We hadn't received the response, we hadn't received the deadlock letter, so the decision was taken that we would escalate it ourselves to the Ombudsman, and E.ON Next were provided with the complaints reference number for the Ombudsman service. Still no response from E.ON. Now, last Friday I contacted E.ON Next via phone, and the response was that they had looked at the account, and based on the meter readings that were given, the high bill was because it was a catch-up bill to capture all the estimated readings. But something still didn't quite seem right about the amount of gas usage that they are saying this one property, again a modern 2-bedroom mid-terrace house that is using very minimal in gas and electric. So I asked them to sort of give us the kilowatt hours usage, how they'd calculated all that, and a few other bits, at which point they hung the phone up on me. I'd spent 45 minutes in a queue, then spent about 15 to 20 minutes going over the points of the bill, and their response was to hang up on me. Not the first time they had hung up, but still we didn't get it resolved. This prompted me to go back and look through the bills, look at how they'd calculated the bill, and then suddenly something dawned on me as to why this bill is so high. And I've taken a shot of his bill. I'm not sure if you can make it out here, but I will read it for the benefits of the audience and anyone who is with me so far. But the key point is this conversion factor just here, where they convert the reading. Old style meters, the volume of gas is measured in cubic feet. Now, we've already established and we've already proven to E.ON Next that this particular property has a smart meter fitted. The smart meter takes the volume reading in metric, so cubic meters. So where they use the conversion to times the volume by 2.83 to convert it to cubic meters isn't required for this property. So in essence what they're doing, they are charging nearly 3 times as much for the gas than is actually being used. And for me this was a bit of a light bulb moment. I can now see where the problem is. So today I contacted E.ON Next again and asked them to go through the kilowatt hours usage. First of all, they refused to actually talk through that aspect of it over the phone. The stock response numerous times was, well, just look at your bill. I said, yes, well, I'm looking at the bill, but I can see that you've used this conversion factor of 2.83 to convert from cubic feet to cubic meters. And we've already proven that the property benefits from a smart meter, and all smart meters in the UK are in metric. So that's where the problem with the bill lies. The energy specialist on the other end of the phone at E.ON Next, so keys in the job title there, if you're an energy specialist you should know how meters work. It shouldn't take the consumer to tell you, but here we are. The energy specialist put me on hold while she sought some advice, and then came back and said, no, some smart meters are in cubic feet, and your smart meter, we have checked, and your smart meter is in cubic feet. So therefore your bill is correct and we want you to pay that money. As a side note, in the last 7 days we have received 2 emails from E.ON Next demanding payment within 7 days, despite the fact that the matter is being investigated by the Ombudsman, and it was my understanding that until the Ombudsman had completed their steps they should not be chasing for that debt. So we had a bit of toing and froing regarding the cubic feet, cubic meters, and the E.ON Next energy specialist assures me that the meter is in cubic feet, and therefore the 2.83 reading, the 2.83 conversion factor applies, and the balance of £4,200 is outstanding. If we wish to move suppliers, they expect payment of that before we can move elsewhere. So I'm not quite sure where we can go with this. I've been today and I've taken another reading from the meter. I've actually videoed it, and I will try and tag that at the end of this video before we publish it. That actually confirms, at the very end of the meter reading, it confirms that it is in cubic meters. So E.ON Next are wrong. But they still expect payment. They still refuse to acknowledge the fact that for a property that size, for the minimal gas usage that's been used in that property over the last 2 years, they estimate that property has used about 77,000 kilowatt hours in 2 years of gas. However, I've taken the readings from the first reading to the last reading. I've applied the correct conversion, and that property has used 26,445.78 kilowatt hours, which would actually mean that the money already paid to E.ON Next over on the monthly direct debit, with the overpayments and the rest, that account should be around about neutral, if not even having some credit on it. But the E.ON Next energy specialist has said that for us to resolve this, they want us to pay, and if the Ombudsman finds in our favour, they will reimburse us. Now, I'm not sure if anybody in the real world out there has an extra £4,500 to pay, just in case E.ON Next may be right with an error on their bill. This person certainly doesn't, but we're currently trapped in this constant cycle where I've pointed out the error. I've gone through in quite detail with them, and they just refuse to listen. So this blog is going to be the start of the diary of the ongoing issues. I'm going to publish this. I'm going to tag E.ON Next into it, and I want everybody out there to really be aware of how incompetent E.ON Next is, and the way they operate, and the stress that it's causing somebody who's done nothing wrong. This person does not owe them money. This person has paid their dues, they've paid their debt, and they've always tried to maintain a credit on that account to make sure no money is owed. And the response from E.ON Next is, well, just pay us, and if it's wrong, we'll give you a refund. But we're not wrong. They refuse to acknowledge the fact that all smart meters are recorded in cubic meters. They say that this smart meter, which they now acknowledge is a smart meter, they've had the photographic evidence, must be in cubic feet. That's why they've applied this to the account. And despite several phone calls, emails, asking for somebody who actually knows what they're doing to speak to us, just isn't happening. They refuse to acknowledge complaints. They refuse to look at the issues, but they'll send you a threatening email saying you must pay money that you do not owe. The biggest fear at this stage is that at some point bailiffs will be instructed to come to the property and change the meter to a prepayment meter, or to take recovery action for money that is not owed. Having seen the horror stories out there of what other customers have experienced regarding money that is seen to be owed and the actions that are taken, we feel that we can't trust E.ON Next not to take action that is detrimental now. All we want is an accurate bill, and we will pay that money. There will be no repayment plan. Any money owed for a correct bill will be paid, but E.ON Next do not want to entertain that. They just want to bill us 3 times more than we've actually used. And the amount of stress that that's causing for this person now is unreal. They're not somebody who is used to dealing with this type of issue, and everybody's experiencing the pinch at the moment. Everybody's under stress, and we just E.ON Next, you need to please just do what you're being paid to do. We pay you a standing charge on top of what you're charging for your services, and that is in essence your management fee. That's the fee that is paid to you for you to manage and administer this account, and it just seems to be that you're not doing that. If anyone out there, British Gas maybe, if you would like to take this account on, having looked into the issue, please do, but at the moment we can't automatically switch to you because the account's in debt. I'm more than happy to go through the case with any supplier out there that wants to take this account on. If you can see the common sense approach that this account is not in debt, we want to move away from E.ON Next, but at the moment, because the account's showing us in debt, we can't move under the current rules. Anybody that's with E.ON Next or is considering moving to E.ON Next, please take this case and do your own research and look at other people in the same boat. This is a company to avoid. Like I say, I will try and edit the video and tag on the meter just to prove that the facts that I'm spouting here are correct. But yeah, and E.ON Next, if you see this video and you want to actually have dialogue, please get in touch. We're dying for it, but at the moment, 90 minutes on hold, waiting to speak to somebody who then tells you that they're either not going to deal with it or that it's correct, despite the fact that all the facts are there. Please, let's have a conversation. Thanks for your time. Sorry to have bored you. Bye.